It was supposed to be an ordinary night. The streets were quiet, the city lights glowing against the dark sky. And behind the wheel of a brand new black Mercedes, Jamal Rivers was finally allowing himself to breathe. At 29 years old, Jamal had come a long way. Raised in a tough neighborhood, surrounded by doubt, he was told countless times he wouldn't amount to anything. But Jamal refused to let the world define him. Through late nights, hard work, and sacrifice, he built his own IT consulting business from the ground up. That car wasn't just luxury, it was proof. Proof that he had made it when the world said he wouldn't. But as Jamal drove home that night, success didn't protect him. Because not everyone saw the man he had become. Some only saw the color of his skin. Flashing lights. Sirens. The sound that makes your stomach drop, even when you've done nothing wrong. Jamal pulled over, his heart pounding. He wasn't speeding. He wasn't swerving. But still, the patrol car sat behind him, lights blazing like a warning. From the driver's side, Officer Bradley Kent stepped out. 38 years old. Stocky build. A face hardened by years of bitterness and arrogance. He wasn't just any cop, he was known. Known for pushing his weight around, for making people fear him instead of trust him. And tonight, Jamal was his target. Kent walked slowly, hand resting on his holster. He tapped the car with his flashlight like it was already guilty. License and registration, he barked. Jamal kept his hands visible, voice steady. Yes, officer. May I reach into the glove box? But Kent wasn't listening. He leaned closer, eyes narrowing. Whose car is this? Don't tell me it's yours. Jamal swallowed hard. It's mine. Purchased legally. You can run the plates. Kent chuckled, the kind of laugh that dripped with contempt. Guys like you don't drive cars like this unless they're stolen. Step out. Bystanders slowed as they passed. Phones came out. Because everyone knew, this was about to escalate. Jamal stepped out, hands raised. Calm. Careful. But his voice carried the weight of a man tired of proving himself. Officer, please. I've done nothing wrong. Kent circled him like a predator. Nothing wrong? Driving a stolen car at night? That's wrong. Jamal's jaw tightened. It's not stolen. But before he could explain further, Kent snapped the cuffs on him. Cold. Tight. Humiliating. You're under arrest, Kent sneered. For suspicion of grand theft auto. Gasps from the crowd. Shouts. And Jamal's heart sank. Because in that moment, it didn't matter who he was. Didn't matter what he built. Didn't matter what he achieved. To Kent, he was guilty the moment he was seen. The ride to the station was silent except for Kent's smug remarks. Bet you thought you were somebody, huh? Bet you thought you belonged in that car. Not tonight. Inside the holding cell, Jamal sat quietly. His mind raced, not with fear, but with anger. He knew he'd done nothing wrong. But he also knew how the system could twist the truth. Hours passed. Kent strutted around, bragging to fellow officers. Caught myself a thief tonight. Driving a car he couldn't possibly afford. Some people never learn. But Kent had no idea he was the one about to learn. Because Jamal wasn't alone. And the man walking through those station doors next would change everything. Heavy footsteps echoed across the floor. The chatter stopped. And in walked Judge Malcolm Rivers, Jamal's father. Tall. Distinguished. A man whose very presence carried authority. Dressed in a tailored suit, his sharp eyes cut through the station like a blade. Where is my son? His voice thundered. The officers froze. Even the desk sergeant stood straighter. And Kent's smirk faded. Judge Rivers approached the holding cell, his jaw tight with fury. Release him. Now. Kent tried to recover, tried to keep his arrogance. Sir, this man was caught driving a stolen vehicle. Procedure. Judge Rivers cut him off. That man is my son. That car is his. And you, Officer Kent, have made a grave mistake. The room was silent. Every officer watched, tension so thick it was suffocating. Kent stammered, how was I supposed to know? He didn't look like. But Judge Rivers's voice roared. Didn't look like what? Didn't look successful? Didn't look like the owner of a car he worked hard for? Or didn't look like a man who deserved respect? Jamal stood, his father's words filling the room with power. For the first time all night, the balance shifted. Kent was no longer in control. But still, arrogance clung to him like armor. He leaned back, crossing his arms. Well, Judge, maybe you should take a look at this before you get too comfortable. He pulled out a file. Dropped it on the desk with a thud. Inside, fabricated reports. False allegations. A paper trail Kent had been building, trying to paint Jamal as a criminal. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Judge Rivers flipped through the pages, his fury deepening with every lie he read. This wasn't just about one arrest. It wasn't just about one car. It was about a cop who thought he could destroy a man's life because of his skin color and walk away untouched. Judge Rivers slammed the file shut. Officer Kent, this ends now. You will answer for this abuse of power. Kent's smirk returned, but weaker this time. You think you can touch me? I've been doing this for years. Nobody's ever stopped me. You won't either. But what Kent didn't know was that his reign of intimidation was about to collapse. Because Judge Rivers wasn't just a father defending his son. He was a man who knew the law, who had the power to expose Kent for who he truly was. The air crackled with tension. The other officers waited, torn between loyalty and fear. And Jamal? He stood taller now. No longer the victim, but the man about to watch justice unfold. But just as the tide turned, Kent leaned in and whispered, You may be a judge, but you don't know who protects me. You don't know how deep this goes. If you push me, you'll regret it. The room went cold. Because those words carried weight. Kent wasn't bluffing. Judge Rivers narrowed his eyes. And Jamal realized this fight wasn't just against one racist cop. It was against a system built to protect him. And if they wanted justice, they would have to tear that system down, piece by piece. The battle was only beginning. And the next move would shake the city to its core. Because the truth was coming. And when it did, someone's world was going to crumble. The station walls couldn't hold the storm that was coming. Because the very next morning, this wasn't just a traffic stop anymore. It was war. Judge Malcolm Rivers wasted no time. He filed motions. He demanded hearings. And he made one thing clear: his son Jamal would not be another victim lost to silence. The courtroom was packed. Reporters filled the benches, cameras lined the hallways. Because word had spread fast. A respected judge's son had been humiliated, handcuffed, and framed. And the man responsible was Officer Bradley Kent. But Kent didn't walk in ashamed. He strutted. Smirking. Dressed in uniform, badge gleaming, like he was untouchable. And maybe he believed he was. At his side was a high-powered attorney, slick suit, sharp jawline, eyes like a vulture. He whispered to Kent, both of them grinning, as if this was just another game. But for Jamal, this wasn't a game. This was his life. He sat at the plaintiff's table, head held high, but inside, his heart raced. He remembered every second of that night. Every word, every look, every ounce of humiliation. And now, he had to relive it, in front of strangers. The judge presiding over the case, Judge Harris, cleared his throat. Court is now in session. The prosecutor rose. Your Honor, what we have here is not just misconduct. This is a pattern. Officer Kent has targeted young black men for years, using his badge as a weapon. But this time, he chose the wrong man. And we will prove it. Whispers spread through the room. Kent rolled his eyes. Then his attorney stood, voice dripping with arrogance. My client is a decorated officer with over 15 years of service. This young man, Jamal Rivers, was driving a suspicious vehicle late at night. Any reasonable officer would have acted the same. This is not about race. This is about safety. Lies. Polished. Rehearsed. But lies. The prosecutor called their first witness. A bystander who had recorded the arrest on their phone. The video played for the jury. The screen lit up with flashing lights, Kent's harsh words echoing in the courtroom. Whose car is this? Don't tell me it's yours. Gasps filled the room. Jamal shifted uncomfortably. Because hearing those words again cut deep. Kent's lawyer objected, tried to twist the context, but the damage was done. The jury had heard it. The world had heard it. But Kent wasn't shaken. No, he leaned back, smiling like he knew something no one else did. Like he had an ace up his sleeve. And soon, everyone would find out what it was. Because just as the prosecutor built momentum, calling another witness, Kent's lawyer rose again. Your Honor, before this continues, I'd like to introduce new evidence. Evidence that will call into question the credibility of Mr. Rivers. He dropped a thick folder on the bench. The same one Kent had shown at the station. Fabricated reports. False claims. A paper trail designed to destroy Jamal's reputation. The room went silent. Judge Harris flipped through the pages, his brow furrowing. Are you telling me this young man has prior criminal activity? The lawyer smirked. Exactly. A history of theft. Of deception. This arrest wasn't bias, Your Honor, it was good policing. Jamal's chest tightened. His hands balled into fists. Because he knew none of it was true. But on paper, lies can look real. And suddenly, the jury's eyes were different. Doubt had crept in. Judge Malcolm Rivers, sitting behind his son, rose to his feet. Your Honor, I will personally testify that these reports are false. This is a smear campaign designed to protect a corrupt officer. But Judge Harris hesitated. His eyes flickered between the papers and the defense attorney. Because even he knew, powerful hands were moving behind the scenes. The tide was shifting. And not in Jamal's favor. Kent leaned toward Jamal, whispering under his breath. Did you really think you could beat me? I told you. I have protection. This goes higher than you'll ever reach. Jamal didn't flinch. He stared straight ahead, jaw tight, refusing to give Kent the satisfaction of fear. But inside, he knew the fight had only begun. Because what Kent had just revealed was bigger than one cop, bigger than one arrest. It was a system. A shield of power and corruption that wouldn't break easily. And as the gavel struck, Judge Harris announced, "This court will reconvene tomorrow. And Mr. Rivers, your future depends on the evidence we will hear." The bailiff called adjournment. The crowd erupted with chatter. Some outraged. Some doubtful. And Kent? He walked out grinning. But Jamal wasn't done. His father wasn't done. They would fight. They would expose the truth. Because deep down, Jamal believed something powerful. The truth always finds a way. Even when the system tries to bury it. But what Jamal didn't know was that Kent's protection wasn't just rumor. It was real. And the man pulling the strings was about to step into the light. A man with more power than Kent. More influence than the courtroom itself. And his arrival would change everything. The fight for justice was only beginning. And the next chapter would decide whether Jamal walked free or lost everything. Please subscribe for part 2.